Hi, I'm Dave Smith of Police One, and this is Roll Call Reality Training. Well, imagine you've just been to a night shoot, and you think to yourself, well, I'm more prepared than ever for a gunfight, right? Well, how about an hour later, you're in a gunfight? Well, that's what happens to Springdale, Arkansas officer Eubank. Now, an hour earlier, prior to making this traffic stop, he had just qualified on his night shoot. Let's watch what happens when he and Sergeant Kermer deal with the suspect, Zachary Sutton.
Now look, hey, Zach, around with your hand. Zach, you know I'm stopping you again. I'm off too, man. So I'm stopping you because your license is suspended for DWI. You cannot be driving any vehicle.
I know, I was thinking of a friend, man.
Thinking of a friend, I watched you pull into
Yeah, she wasn't there, so she set me up.
And so you're still out driving your scooter. No, I've told you multiple times you cannot be driving the scooter. Zach, what should I be doing with you, man? I've told you multiple times. Hey, Zach, man, don't fuss. Man, I've told you multiple times. I've told you 3 times, I know for sure, in less than 10 days.
Okay, as you can tell very quickly, the contact is of everyone knows everyone. Hi, I'm Dave Smith of Police One, and this is Roll Call Reality Training. Well, imagine you've just been to a night shoot, and you think to yourself, well, I'm more prepared than ever for a gunfight, right? Well, how about an hour later, you're in a gunfight? Well, that's what happens to Springdale, Arkansas officer Eubank. Now, an hour earlier, prior to making this traffic stop, he had just qualified on his night shoot. Let's watch what happens when he and Sergeant Kermer deal with the suspect, Zachary Sutton.
Now look, hey, Zach, around with your hand. Zach, you know I'm stopping you again. I'm off too, man. So I'm stopping you because your license is suspended for DWI. You cannot be driving any vehicle.
I know, I was thinking of a friend, man.
Thinking of a friend, I watched you pull into
Yeah, she wasn't there, so she set me up.
And so you're still out driving your scooter. No, I've told you multiple times you cannot be driving the scooter.
Look, you're in trouble again.
Zach, what should I be doing with you, man? I've told you multiple times. Hey, Zach, man, don't fuss. Man, I've told you multiple times. I've told you 3 times, I know for sure, in less than 10 days.
Okay, as you can tell very quickly, the contact is of everyone knows everyone. All the players are aware of who's who. Now, Zach Sutton is a gangster. He's a member of a gang there. He's got priors, lots of priors, and as you can tell, they have arrested him prior for driving without a license as well. Now, he is packing for the first time, however, a .45 cocked. It's not cocked and locked. It's fortunately for the officers, he doesn't have a loaded chamber, possibly because he's not familiar with the weapon or because he wasn't comfortable with a cocked and locked position for the .45. Doesn't matter. It gives the officers that edge they need when the spontaneous gunfight occurs. Watch this. Okay, now we think of a situation where we're familiar with a suspect. In all our prior contacts, he's run. He's never used physical or any kind of force against law enforcement. Yes, he's got criminal priors, and we're always mentally prepared for that. When it happens, then I'm going to do this situation. But at the same time, familiarity of the subject gives us a sense of comfort, a sense of predictability. And I want you to remember this. When you hear the saying, the best predictor of future performance is past performance, that's for evaluations, not for dealing with suspects. There is no critter more unpredictable on this planet than a human being, and I want you to have that mindset. Now let's watch the shooting go down, and now watch our sergeant. When this occurs, you can almost see the moment of hesitation, the cognitive dissonance, but this guy doesn't shoot at us, and then he delivers the fatal shot. Watch this. All right, it's brutal, and it also brings up a point. When you read the headlines, a lot of times you'll hear officers shoot fleeing subjects. Officers do this. Why would we shoot? And you get the, quote, experts on the various networks come out and say, well, the guy turned to run. He was no longer a threat. What are they talking about? The guy has just used deadly force against law enforcement officers who are entrusted to keep the peace, protect the community. And now he's turning to flee where? To a point of cover where he can engage the officers further, to go into the community where he can shoot innocent citizens who suddenly appear? No, not at all. In fact, one of the problems I find the media misrepresents both our constitutional rights and our obligations to our community. Garner versus Tennessee was a unique case where in prior situations long ago, we used to be able to shoot fleeing felons. Now, that was common law that came from a time certainly before we had high-quality firearms on our hips. And the Supreme Court ruled in Garner versus Tennessee that just out of point of fact, you just can't shoot a fleeing armed felon unless they present an immediate risk to you and or the community. Well, in this case, obviously, a guy who's shooting deadly force at law enforcement officers is an immediate risk to the community. And that's the thing. I want you to refresh yourself in constitutional law from time to time. You know, Graham versus Connor gives us the right to use force that we believe is reasonable based on what we know, not what some expert on TV knows, or not what somebody in the community who doesn't know anything about law enforcement perceives, believes, or just wants to say for political reasons. Understand your rights, understand your obligations, your responsibilities. Too often we find officers find themselves in a situation where they in fact hesitate, and we don't know how many officers have died because of hesitation, because they're ambiguous in their own mind about their right to defend themselves. You always have a right to defend your life, and that's the critical thing. If you have that mindset where you're suddenly going, oh my God, I'm going to die, then you have an absolute right to defend your life. My good friend Dale Anderson taught me that years ago when he was teaching constitutional law. And I'll never forget him saying that in class, because it's a powerful, powerful moniker for you to remember, a mnemonic for you to remember is, oh my God, I'm afraid I'm going to die. Then you are immediately justified in protecting your life, whatever force and what means you need. And that's something too. Let's talk about this spontaneous confrontation in the dark. Now, this is a situation where the guy's running away. Our sergeant puts a lethal shot through the suspect, and it gets his aorta, goes right through his back, and drops him. Now, the thing is, you still initiate your first aid. Even if you think the guy may be dead, initiate your first aid. That's become more and more critical because the scrutiny of the community is always going to be, how do we react? How do we respond? So you have a very powerful video here from Springdale, Arkansas. I want you to sit down with your friends, talk about it. How would you react? How would you respond? How would you position the suspect? How would you have initiated the frisk? These are all things, every agency has their own styles and techniques. But if you're just doing sloppy frisks, it's a good way to get yourself hurt or your brothers and sisters killed. So let's remember, let's refresh ourselves in what we're trained to do, proper way to frisk, proper way to position subjects. Let's practice those. Don't let routine degrade your performance and stop doing this. And then also mentally prepare yourself that, yes, I know I deal with a lot of subjects who have criminal backgrounds all the time on the street, that many of them had contact with me, and you want to say to yourself, I want to be prepared when they decide to kill me. I don't know when, I don't know how, but when they do, I'll be ready. Don't live in fear, live in preparedness. Your mindset, I'm prepared. Routine's not going to degrade my performance. Not today, routine, you don't get me. I'm going to be out there and be doing my best.